Sarah, you joined us today with a very interesting and intriguing presentation titled Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Properly Implementing Workforce Analytics But Were Afraid to Ask. What is the idea behind this presentation, and what are the main takeaways you wanted to bring to the participants?
So in fact, the presentation and the idea about the title was much more about to highlight the fact that as HR people, we always have this preconceived idea that HR and analytics are not fitting together, right? And for many reasons. One reason is that effectively the skill set is not a given for HR in terms of analytical mindset and math applied statistics and metrics, but also because obviously we always have a concern of applying some metrics and some analyticals to something that is so unobjective or subjective as people in general. So it was more to really emphasize the fact and stress the fact that effectively, analytics in general are only, support to decision. That decision should stay anyway, in the remit of the HR people, and it's only, metrics that should help and support, this decisioner to have certainly decisions that are less irrational than it is now. So the presentation was starting from this idea and then building on that on where do we start, because many companies actually do not know exactly where to start to build an organization, to build a skill set, how to get the buy-in of the business, which I think it's also important, and finally, what can bring analytics to HR, and take really concrete example to show that it's definitively adding value to what we are doing. And finally, I think what we tried also is to reflect based on our experience on what can be wrong, that the relationship between HR and analytics organization is not necessarily easy, so what should be looked after. I think one final point that was stressed during the presentation was also running or coming up with HR metrics is more than just a couple of, I would say, data and reports, right? It's actually, thinking through an overall integrated strategy on how do you manage your data, how do you manage your application or your application with a S at the end, your multiple application. How do you manage your organization in general? This has to be taken into consideration because definitively it's underlying, the data you may want to assess and to use for your metrics and analyticals.
Mm-hmm. And it all does look very complex. So where do you start? Where would you recommend starting? What do you see as one of the main challenges that you faced when you started, let's say, or where you were a year ago?
Yeah, I think we gave two examples. I mean, in my previous company, it was a smaller company. Obviously, we started by contracting a consulting company because then, the commitment that you have, it's short term. You don't have to, to get the buying of your business to hire people, etc. So really, by contracting a consulting company, you immediately see the result, right? They can even build a business case, which I think it's always a good way to start. And then, when actually, the idea is coming and it's well implemented in your company, you can start, hiring people and building your organization. In parallel to that, I think you have effectively to look at, do I have the right application? How can I change it? Is it the model that I want to have in my company? The data, how is my data? Do I need to massage it? Do I need to clean it? Do I need to create some interface between different systems? Not just the HR system, but actually the business system. Think about the sales turnover per employee, etc. So it's overall, having clear in mind what is your objective, what do you want to measure, and obviously, looking at all these elements to make sure that you are able even to have the analytics that you want.
And let's jump to the last part of your presentation in terms of what can go wrong. Obviously, in each and every of those points, some things can go wrong, and there are always challenges. Do you have any tips or advice for companies that are just starting now, and maybe are doomed to make some mistakes and to grapple with some questions? Do you have some tips and advice for them to where to watch out for some problems or main challenges on this way?
Yeah, one thing we highlight very clearly, in the presentation is you should be aligned and you should really be customized to your business, right? Because at the end, what HR is doing is really offering a service to the business, but even being part of the overall business strategy of the employees. This is really, the overall strategy of HR and the overall mindset we should have. So based on that, I would say be clear on what is the business strategy, and then based on that, seeing how the metrics or the HR data can help to get some reports that will effectively help to take some decisions. So I'm taking an example because I think right now a lot of companies are talking about performance linked to engagement, right? Mm-hmm. And we always struggle a bit to know, well, actually, how does it work and how is it embedded all together? Metrics can help to actually validate something that is almost intuitive. I take another example. In the UK, I was last week, and we were talking about absenteeism and the link again with engagement. Here as well, you have much more data than you think if you start tracking it. Once again, it's being sure that you're aligned with the business. Obviously, you get the buy-in of the business. You build your business case. And obviously, based on that, you create your organization, or you create you get the resources that may help you, to succeed on that. Mm-hmm. Nothing impossible.
That's great, very encouraging. And maybe the last question: what do you see the future for your UBS now in terms of analytics? You went quite a long way, first disentangling reporting and analytics, and then now even doing some predictive analytics and algorithms for that. So what are the next steps that you see now, and maybe in the next, not 5 years, but 1 year from now?
So effectively, UBS is much more advanced in terms of analytics strategy. I think we have we work on different things. The first thing is we work on having, one single repository of data, which I think it's important to have the data that is consistent. So this is the first thing. Having also so we reduce also, and we have really clarified our strategy in terms of application, making sure that we have one application. With clean data, I would say, with as much data as we can in terms also of historical data. The next step is effectively, develop visualization, and it's really in the idea that we want to empower not only our HR community, but certainly also our manager, and in a certain extent also our employees. And third, I would say, and it's also something important, we are investigating, big data. And here as well, I think what we stress in the presentation is big data is effectively, to help the business in general, in its strategy. It's also very much, and we took a very concrete example, to improve the experience of our clients. And in the case we took, our client was our candidates, right? And we wanted to come back to them in a much shorter timeline than what we were doing previously. I think it's a great idea because it shows really, how you can use metrics to not only for your company but also for your clients in general. I would say this is mostly where we are going. Very challenging, I would say, because behind you have a lot of different questions and problematics, but it's quite also encouraging.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and for your contribution to the event.
Thank you very much.
It was really inspiring, I'm sure, for all the delegates as well. Thank you.
Thank you.